I hope you all are fit and fine at your places. Myself Priyanka Joshi, your biology teacher in front of you. Students, before starting our today's lecture, I am going to congratulate to all of you for scoring your good marks in PT first. I hope for best your future. Okay student, so today we are going to start a new chapter, as we have completed the chapter first in biology, that is the fundamental unit of life, cell. So today we are going to discuss about the new chapter, that is tissue. So what is tissue? So students, now the question is, what is tissue? As we discussed in our previous chapter that the structural and functional unit of life is cell, and when the different types of cells, when the group of cells functions together, clear, they are structurally similar and they achieve a same function, that is known as the tissue. You can define the tissue as a group of cells that are similar in structure and work together to achieve a particular function, that is the tissue. Clear student? A single cell works as a single function. Clear? When the cells makes a group, they are structurally similar and they perform together a same type of function. Clear? That makes a tissue. So this is the tissue. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about the tissue, the types of the tissue. In general, there are two types of tissue, the plant tissue and the animal tissue. First of all, we are going to discuss about the plant tissue. So students, the plant tissue are generally divides into the two categories. The first one is the meristematic and the second tissue is the permanent tissue. These two are the major classification of the plant tissue. Now first of all, listen what is the meristematic tissue. Students, meristematic tissue present at the growing region of the plant, whether it is a shoot tip or it is a root tip. The cells of the meristematic tissue shows rapid cell division. The cell division takes place rapidly in the region of the meristematic. Here the cell divides and the growth takes place. Clear students? And the next is the permanent tissue. In case of permanent tissue, the growth is stunted. It means the growth retarded. The growth does not take place. The cell lose the capacity of division. They become the mature. They can't divide furthermore. Clear? So, on the basis of this functioning, the meristematic tissues are of different types and the permanent tissues are of different types. First of all, we are going to discuss about the meristematic tissue. In general, the meristematic tissues are of three types. The first one is apical meristem, clear, and the second one is lateral meristem, and the third one is intercalary meristem. So students, the three types of meristem are apical, intercalary and lateral. We can understand these three types of meristem with this figure. So first of all, the apical meristem. Students, apical meristem is present at the growing regions, growing tips of the shoot and the root. Suppose the shoot growing in this way. So at the tip part, the apical meristem is present and the root grow downwards to the earth, and at the tip of the root, the apical meristem is present. So here, this is the tip part of this figure. So here the apical meristem is present. It is the growing region. Clear? So apical meristem is present in the growing region of whether it is root or it is shoot. Clear? Next one is this one, the first. Next is intercalary meristem. Students, intercalary meristem presents at the base of the bud or the new branches, from where the new branches arise, from where the bud is arises. At the base of it, the intercalary meristem is present. Suppose you can take example of these two branches. The two branches arise from here. So at the base of this, at the base of this, and at the base of this, which kind of meristem is present? The apical, sorry, the second meristem, that is the intercalary meristem is present. It is present at the base of the growing region of the plant. Clear? Next, third one is the lateral meristem. Lateral meristem is present on the sides of the branch. Suppose you can take the example, when the plant is very young, its shoot is less in their girth. It is green in color. After some time, after years and years, they grow in their girth also. So the increment in the girth takes place due to the presence of lateral meristem. The lateral meristem is present in this way. The third one is the lateral meristem. It is present in the side of the branch. It increases the girth in this way. This girth is increased due to the presence of lateral meristem. So these are the main functions of these three kinds of meristem, that is the apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and the third one is lateral meristem.
These are the types of meristematic tissue. As you know, meristematic tissue is present at the growing regions of the plant. So, it is responsible for growth of the plant. Types of meristematic tissues are apical meristem. Apical meristem is present on root and shoot tip of the plant. This tissue divides and results in growth of stem and root. Next is intercalary meristem. It is present on leaf base and nodes. Nodes are the regions from where a new branch, a bud, or a leaf-like structure arises. So here is intercalary meristem present. Next is lateral meristem. It is responsible for increase in circumference, that is the girth of the stem as well as the root. So it increases the lateral part of the plant. It is also known as cambium because the cambium rings are present as the plant is increases in its girth. Now in this figure, here is the meristematic tissue depending on their locations. You can see here the shoot apical meristem is present at the shoot tips and the root apical meristem is present in the root tips as shown in this figure. Now next is intercalary meristem. It is present in between the stem. Here you can see clearly in the figure and at the basis of the leaves from where the leaves arises, that is the nodes. Node is the region of between the two internodes, that is the nodes. The node you can and the nodes and internodes you can clearly see in the sugar cane. Clear? Now the third one is lateral meristem. It is present in the lateral side of the stem and it increases the girth of the stem. So this is all about the three types of meristem. Now here is an activity through which we can see the growth in plants with meristematic tissue can be easily demonstrated experimentally with the help of onion bulbs. So in this activity we take two jars and both of them are filled with water. Take two onion bulbs and place one in each jar. Clear? So after some time you observe the onion bulbs after some days. Okay, so when the roots are coming from the bulb, we cut the roots of any one of the jar. Clear? So what we observe? We observe that the growth of plant occurs from specific reasons. So that is the meristematic reason. So in first jar, if we cut, suppose we cut the root tips of the second jar. So in first jar, the root tips were uncutted. Hence, the growth of the root tip did not stop in the first jar. However, in second jar, the roots were removed. As a result, the growth of the roots of onion bulb in second jar has stopped. So this proves that the meristematic tissue is present at the growing regions. Clear? So that's why the growth of the growth of the roots in the onion bulb has retarded.
Now student, the next is permanent tissue. As I already told you, permanent are those tissue which lose the capacity of division. They are mature enough. The cells of the permanent tissue are not further take division. Clear? So, on the basis of their nature, the permanent tissues are again classified into two types, that are the simple permanent tissue, and the next one is, you can say, compound also, or complex. This is the another type of permanent tissue. Clear, students? So there are two types of permanent tissue. First one is simple permanent tissue and the second is compound or complex permanent tissue. So now, what is simple permanent tissue? Simple permanent are those tissues which are made up of similar types of cells. The cells that are present in simple tissue are of similar in structure, similar in shape, and they have the similar origin. Clear, students? They coordinate together to perform a similar function. So these are the simple permanent tissue and they are made up of simplest and you can say similar type of cells. Next is compound or complex. Complex permanent tissues are those tissues which are made up of two or more than two different types of cells, but they coordinate to perform a similar function. Here, the difference is the compound or the complex tissue are made up of two or more types of cells, but they all together perform a similar function. So first we discuss about the simple permanent tissue. According to the nature of the tissue, the simple permanent tissue is again divided into the three parts. The first one is parenchyma. Second is collenchyma. And the third one is sclerenchyma. Now we discuss these three one by one. Now the first one is parenchyma. The cells of the parenchymatous tissue are living cells. They are generally rounded or oval in shape. And here you can see in this way the parenchymatous cells are arranged. And in this figure you can see some spaces is there here, this. So these, what is the characteristics of these the cells of the parenchymatous tissue are, they are thin wall and they are loosely packed. The cells are loosely packed so that they have large intercellular spaces. The intercellular space is present in parenchymatous cells. Clear? They help in the storage of food and water. They are the main characteristics of the parenchymatous cells, and on the basis of their nature, the parenchymatous cells are classified into two groups. In some situations, the parenchymatous tissue contains chlorophyll, and by the presence of chlorophyll, they perform the function of photosynthesis. At that time, the parenchymatous tissue is known as chlorenchyma. When they perform the function of photosynthesis, at that time the parenchymatous is known as chlorenchyma. And most of in aquatic plants, the parenchyma have large air cavities to maintain the buoyancy, so that the plant can't float in the so the plant can easily flow in the water. Clear? So to maintain the buoyancy, at that time the parenchyma is known as parenchyma, as there are large air cavities present. Clear? So the next is collenchyma. To maintain the flexibility of the cell, the another tissue is there, that is the collenchyma. The cells of the collenchyma have thick wall and they have very thin, very small size of intercellular spaces. They are generally closely packed. Clear? The intercellular space present in the collenchyma are very small in comparison to parenchyma. Clear? Due to the presence of collenchyma, the plant allow easy blending of their parts. The branch can easily blend with when collenchyma is present. Clear? Without any breaking in them. That's why I say it provides flexibility to the plant. Clear? Easy blending takes place due to the presence of collenchyma. Clear, students? Now, the next and last one is the sclerenchyma. And also one thing, the cells of the collenchyma are also living. Now, the next is sclerenchyma. The cells of the sclerenchyma are dead and they are thick walled. Clear? In comparison to these two. Collenchyma also have the thin walled. They little bit thick in comparison to parenchyma, but sclerenchyma have the thick wall. Clear? And they are the dead cells. The structure of the sclerenchyma tissue is like this. The cells are long and they have the pointed ends. They are the long and narrow, as they are the thick wall due to the presence of the lignin. Clear? So this is the structure of the sclerenchymatous tissue. As they are the thick wall, so they provide mechanical support Clear? And they provide the plant hardness and stuff. Clear? As you have seen the husk of the coconut, it is very hard from outside due to the presence of the sclerenchymatous tissue. Clear? So inside the cells no internal space is there. Clear? Here you can say in case of parenchyma there are large intercellular spaces, and some in collenchyma there are small intercellular spaces, whereas in case of sclerenchyma there is no intercellular spaces. Clear? So this is the short intro of three types of tissues. Now here you can see in this figure there are different types of tissues that are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. These are the diagrams of the tissues.
Now this is an figure of parenchymatous tissue individually. Here you can clearly see the large intercellular air spaces between the cells, and the cell wall is very thin. They are loosely packed so that large air spaces between the cells are found in this tissue. This tissue provides support to plants and also stores the food. Now this is the figure of collenchyma tissue. This tissue is responsible for flexidity in plants, and it allows easy bending in various parts of a plant, that is leaf, stem. The plants bend without any breakage. It also provides mechanical support to plants. Here you can see the transverse section and longitudinal section of collenchymatous tissue. It is present in the leaf stalks below the epidermis. The cells of this tissue are living, elongated, and irregular, thickened at the corners. There is very little intercellular spaces present in comparison to the parenchymatous tissue. Now this is the another type of permanent tissue, that is sclerenchyma. Here this is the transverse section of sclerenchyma. It is the tissue which makes the plant hard and stiff. As we have seen the husk of a coconut, it is very hard from outside due to the presence of sclerenchymatous tissue. The cells of this tissue are dead. They are long and narrow, as the walls are thickened due to the presence of lignin. Lignin is a chemical substance which acts as cement and provides hardness to them. Often these walls are so thick that there is no intercellular space inside the cells. The cells of the sclerenchymatous tissue are closely packed. This tissue is present in stems, around the vascular bundles, in the veins of leaves, and in the hard covering of seeds and nuts. It provides strength to the plant parts. Now, this image shows the major characteristics and the functions of the simple permanent tissues. Here in the function of parenchyma, it is written photosynthesis. As I have told you, sometimes parenchyma cells contain chlorophyll. At that time, they does the process of photosynthesis. So, this type of parenchyma is known as chlorenchyma. That's why their function is the photosynthesis. And the another thing I have told you, the parenchyma. When the parenchymatous play as an parenchyma, when there are large air cavities present in the parenchyma. In that situation, the parenchyma is known as parenchyma. The parenchyma maintain the buoyancy in the plant so that it can easily float in the water. Now students, with the help of a short video, please revise the simple permanent tissue. Watch this video carefully.
So students, in today's lecture we have discussed about the tissue, what are the tissue, and especially we focus on the plant tissue. In plant tissue we have discussed about the meristem and the permanent tissue. So meristem we completed, and in permanent tissue we have discussed about simple permanent tissue. Now in our next lecture we are going to start from the another type of the permanent tissue, that is the complex permanent tissue. So till that, please revise this chapter very carefully, and if you have any query, please feel free to ask. This is all about for today. So student, thanks for listening me patiently. Thank you very much.